Cary Grant.
Joe Day.
Judy. Anyway.
Just like him. Close your eyes. Just like him.
Don't say that real quick. Don't say that too fast, you anti-Semitic prick.
Real quick. You can get these Bonehead glasses here. These etched. They're nice. Now, you can't get the bourbon in them. I mean, you can go out and buy the bourbon. But you can get these Bonehead glasses here from Sadie Crafts, Mercedes Reese. Just let me know, and I can get a contact. And if you're a big fan of the show, you can feel free to give her your money because God knows you won't give it to us.
Now, here's a question. Am I still doing the Robert De Niro, or am I farting real good?
Or
really
has he had some sort of lapse, some sort of synapse misfire?
Really?
Actually, you look like Mickey from Rocky there for a second.
Hey, boys.
So, yo.
This is getting
gray.
Yeah, well, it is. Thank you, James. That's true. It is getting gray. But,
you can see it in the beard.
Set him up.
Oh, the beard is the worst. Beard is much worse than my hair.
No, so
if you're watching, you can see my hair is getting long. If you're listening, you can hear my hair is getting long.
So I told Joe I was going to wait until we start recording. Since today's episode is all about streaming.
Yes, we're doing the best shows to stream while you're in there trying not to get the Rona.
Yeah, no. So it took me 3 days. It took me 3 days. It took me 3 days to get through this. So. James, I don't know. Are you a Cronenberg fan like Joe and I are?
I enjoy some of Cronenberg's work. His role on the Cleveland show is overlooked.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm a little confused about whether or not I like Dead Ringers.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah, but say I'll be honest, Chad, you got me because I know I've seen it at some point, but
it was too much for me. It wasn't too much for me to take, but it was too much probably for me to understand as a child. And I saw it when I was 12, 13 years old, probably.
It's streaming on Amazon Prime for free. So everybody go out and watch it and see if you like it or not. I think I enjoyed it. But then at the end, I'm like, what the hell just happened?
So, do you want to hear an interesting tidbit about the history of Dead Ringers?
No.
They rip off Society. I wanted to mention Society.
I'm just going to sit here and drink all the bourbons in my house, Chad. And if you're listening, you'll know that Chad's house is out of bourbon, but Joe's house is plentiful.
I just realized I'm actually not out of bourbon. Like, I have a wedding celebratory bottle of Maker's Mark over here in this cabinet.
Well, now's the time to celebrate.
Hold on.
Another 3 weeks of this, and one of us is going to be divorced.
Well, this would be the time for us to do this. Hello, listeners. This is James Thomas. This is a fine Diet Mountain Dew, and I know what you're saying. In this post-apocalyptic society, how can you get those? Amazon Pantry. That's right. Bonehead recommends Amazon Pantry as long as they send us a check. If they don't, screw Amazon Pantry.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos can suck this. Yeah, there you go.
Unless he gives us money, in which case Jeff
Bezos is a lion among lions.
We welcome him as our new corporate overlord.
I welcome him as my new alien overlord. Chad?
I just wanted to get that shout out.
Interesting tidbit about Dead Ringers. Do you know what the original title was?
I don't.
Undead Ringers.
Twins.
Oh, and then.
Do you know what was coming out in '88?
A little movie with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, not
Twins. Yeah. They ended up with the title Dead Ringers.
Could they not have just released it as twins, but said it like a drunk fraternity guy, like twins?
You haven't seen Dead Ringers.
Yeah.
It's been years.
That would be misleading.
Yes.
All right. Listen, get with it, Chad. It's your show. I'm just here to participate.
Welcome to Bonehead.
Welcome to Bonehead.
Well, now everybody turn this off.
This is okay. Really quick, if you're listening, can I go ahead and say what next week's guest is?
I mean, if you want to.
I don't care.
Well, next week's guest, we've already got it taped. It's in the can. We worked long and hard for this.
Hold on, James. Let's both object. Yeah, let's not tell him.
Real quick.
We're going to say it. Go ahead.
No, real quick. When Joe says that we got it in the can, let me be clear. We did not record the interview in restrooms. Let's just put that on the table. Okay, I didn't record my portion in the restroom.
James, I really did need to pee at the end. So what we've got
Thank you for being a champion and holding that in.
If you're a fan of makeup effects, we have the legendary Robert Kurtzman from KNB Effects. If you're a fan of basically any fantastic horror film made in the 80s or 90s, if you are a fan of Sam Raimi, if you are a fan of John Carpenter.
He frees for you too. Like, did he have a Cronenberg moment? Did Joe Lewis just videodrome us?
If you're a fan of The Haunting of Hill House on the Netflix, then you've got to tune in, because not only do we have him as an interview, his wife was more than gracious of giving us, for you YouTube fans, a tour of the facility. Chad, you didn't know about this. We got to see all the bodies, and you'll get to see them in a few weeks.
I knew about it. You texted me directly afterwards.
Not only...
Fuck you, Chad. You didn't know.
Yeah.
You know nothing.
You know nothing.
Anyway, no.
You're like a child who walks into the middle of an interview.
Not only did we get the story.
Who are you? Are you important?
Who are you? Why are you here?
We not only got the tour, but we got stories about how some of the bodies, if you will,
hit the floor.
Were more exact than what you ever saw on screen, and that includes some props that we got to see from the film Dr. Sleep.
Yep. So tune in for that next week. I'll be putting it together. But this week we've got Chad.
Show recommendations that you should stream, since we are currently living in hell.
Honestly,
it hasn't been that bad, actually.
It's been pretty bad. It's pretty bad, but it's pretty bad. I'm trying to give a decent look around. The best thing about it is there's less commute. I can sleep in another 30 minutes to an hour. And I have had some good times with my kid, but I've also had some awful times with my child. So...
And you remember the terrible. You remember the terrible more. I'm just going to be honest.
It's taxing. I find myself slightly frazzled at the end of days. Oh, look at me. I find myself pretty frazzled, and work doesn't stop me.
Yo,
for the end of days, obviously the famine hasn't been in Lewis's house.
How dare you call Christy fat?
I don't know. I haven't seen her.
How dare you?
Oh.
How dare you? I have been trying to be svelte. By the way, I was so happy when I found out that Amazon would, or actually I think I got these from Walmart, would just deliver me sugar-free Kool-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
And the Grippos.
Well, because of everything, and you all know this, but because of everything that I've got going on, I literally leave the house to walk the dog. I have not been to a store. I have not seen a restaurant. I don't do takeout. I don't do anything.
Well, we do takeout. We do takeout.
So this has been, this is the beginning of my recluse period. I wish I was pulling a J.D. Salinger. I'm like, no, that book was so successful. I'll just live in the mountains now. But I'm not successful. So I'll eventually have to go back among the commoners.
Yeah. Yeah, part of it's been tough. Yeah, I agree. But anyway, so there's great shows out there for you to watch. And gentlemen, I don't know. I was looking this up and going through a few of the lists like Ranker and a few others beforehand just to see how it compares and pick up ideas for mine. And I've got a few that aren't on any of them, and I don't understand why. And I find it very sad.
Well, good, because I don't know if any of mine are any list, so we'll see.
Oh, God. Is this going to become Joe talking about Tiger King or whatever it is for an hour and a half?
I only watched the first episode, and then
I
started.
I haven't.
Okay, none of us are going to recommend Tiger King. Good.
I've only watched the first episode. It was good. It's just hard to watch with a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it's not really a documentary because they edited out all the racism and stuff, and I was like, well, it's not really a documentary then.
In all fairness, I think the racism's pretty well implied.
And
evidently it was.
What's funny is James and I raised a lot of money for that lady and ended up getting free. We have a whole story about Big Cat Rescue in Tampa.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. James and I have been and went for free. James?
Yeah. No, I mean.
I was telling maybe somebody's wife who owns Comic-Con about this, and apparently Jared had known her for years and said, fuck that lady, she's a bitch.
No,
sorry.
I have not watched.
Chat, small world, brother. Don't you
Yeah.
think? It's
Mhm.
small world.
I have not watched the show, but I do agree with what the Big Cat Rescue does as far as trying to make it illegal to own these animals.
What about her killing her husband?
Did he deserve it?
I don't know. I've watched the rest of the show.
I don't know, and I see all the memes.
Yeah.
Because that's how I don't want. There's certain shows I won't stream, but the memes deliver it anyway.
Yeah.
All right. No,
So
not
who
Tiger
wants?
King.
So who wants to go first?
It doesn't matter. Does somebody have? I have one that's burning that I couldn't find on any list, and it disappoints me.
Go for it.
I'm telling you that Sean Ryan's The Shield is one of the best shows in the last 30 years, and I couldn't find it on one damn list. The Shield was on FX from 2002. Hold on one second.
Real quick, where is it streaming?
That's another problem, is that I could only find that you could buy it through Amazon. Now, maybe someplace else, but that's just what IMDb said. So it was on 2002 to 2008. It starred Michael Chiklis. Michael Chiklis was kind of known already as the pudgy guy from, what's the Commish?
Yes, the Commish. He's the Thing from the Fantastic Four.
Well, yeah, but that's not till after The Shield.
He's in a great movie called Soldier.
No. He is in a John Belushi biopic that's not very good, too. But he's a good actor. He's a great actor. He lost a lot of weight, got in shape, and started playing Big Mackie. Huh?
It's on Hulu.
Is it on Hulu?
According to Hulu, it's on Hulu.
Well, that's great, because if you go to IMDb, it only lists buying it on Amazon. I wonder if they have a deal with Amazon.
Well, that would make sense, though, because Hulu is where it has all the FX shows.
Yeah.
Because Disney bought out.
FX, FX was was a new network at the time, and if you go back and watch The Shield, it was extremely graphic, specifically considering it was in the early 2000s on pay cable. They got away with a lot of stuff that I'm just shocked that they got away with. It also launched the career of a certain Walton Goggins, that if you're a fan of Justified, which is another great show you can stream. It's not on my list, but it's another good show you can stream. Check out The Shield. The Shield is one of the grittiest, toughest cop dramas ever made. And Michael Chiklis, it's a fantastic ending. I don't know that it's as good as another show I want to talk about later, but it is a fantastic ending to a show. It doesn't disappoint. It makes you hurt. Some people get their comeuppance. Some people that you want to see get away don't necessarily get away, because that's real life. But it has all the emotions. I just can't recommend The Shield highly enough. And I could not find it on any of the suggestions that I looked at. And I just find that so depressing. Do you either one of you ever watched The Shield?
Never seen an episode.
A couple episodes. It was
Guys, it's so good.
No, it's one of the things I was going to watch, but then that was about the time that I had this child came into my life, and
right. Yeah, well, I understand that. But Vic Mackey is not even an anti-hero. Vic Mackey is a villain. We follow a villain for 6 years, and man, Michael Chiklis is good in that role. That's it. I highly recommend. Please go out. If you enjoy cop dramas, if you like them gritty, if you're a fan of Sons of Anarchy, the creator of Sons of Anarchy got his start writing on what show?
Yep.
Let's Make a Deal. Oh, shit.
The Waltons.
I was so close. Damn it. Oh, well. Goodbye.
That's on. I'd like some more bourbon. Anyway, The Shield.
James.
Who's next?
James.
I guess I can go. I'll continue the following a villain. I've mentioned the show.
You son of a bitch! You stole it from me. I don't know what he's going to say.
I mentioned the show before in passing, but I'm still working through it, so I don't know how it's going to end yet. But I find the entire premise fascinating, and I like the character, even though he's a terrible human being. It's Sneaky Pete, Amazon streaming. If you've not watched it, definitely check it out. Giovanni Ribisi plays Marius. Marius is in prison when the show starts. Marius gets out of prison, or he's due to be released, and he hates his cellmate because the cellmate always talks about how great his family was and all that stuff. Well, the cellmate says that he hasn't seen his grandparents since he was like 6 or 7 years old. Marius gets out of prison, and he owes this crime lord a ton of money. That crime lord is played by Bryan Cranston, and his brother still works for the crime lord.
What? Bryan Cranston's on another show?
Bryan Cranston actually was the co-creator of this with David Shore.
David Shore?
Pauly Shore's brother.
No, I don't think you know what David Shore did. David Shore created such shows as
I think he's close to the sea.
Yeah. I was going to say it if he did.
Lord. Anyway, he worked on NYPD Blue and
Never heard of it.
Anyway. Baywatch.
Baywatch Nights. He wasn't good enough to make it to the days.
He worked the night shift. Anyway.
Oh, and that's an underrated classic. Henry Winkler, Night Shift, Michael Keaton.
I thought he was going to say Baywatch Nights. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you?
He literally is being pursued by these people.
It has its night moments. I've never seen an episode.
He's being pursued by these people that are going to kill him. So he just says, well, I've got nowhere else to go. So he goes, this guy talked about his family so much. He heard all his stories. So he goes and he takes that. And you know it's building up because that guy's due to get out of prison within 2 years. So the show deals with that. But basically, and their family happens to be bail bondsman type people. Or not bail bondsman, kind of bounty hunters. So he uses all his knowledge of the criminal underworld to help them actually because their business is failing. And so is he really a good guy? Absolutely not.
You know, to jump in, Dog the Bounty Hunter was a bondsman.
Okay, well,
just saying.
Anyway, but the big deal about it is that he can't risk being found out. And there's all these different things going on. So the show is just compelling. And plus, to be honest, Bryan Cranston, this is not Breaking Bad. He doesn't slowly become a bad guy. When you get to the episode where he catches, it does a flashback, and it catches how Marius, who later becomes Pete, betrays him, and how he knows that he's going to betray him. And you see how just vile this guy can be. It's a fascinating show. So if you've not seen Sneaky Pete, it's definitely worth your time to check it out. I love con movies. I love caper films. And it has all the markings of that except in television show form because he's always having to watch over his shoulder because he knows he's going to get found out. He has to be found out. So if you've not seen Sneaky Pete, Amazon Prime, check it out. It was an Amazon Prime original before Amazon Prime really got as big as it is. It did run 3 seasons, started in, I think, 2015 or 2016. Did not get renewed for a 4th season. That being said, it's also one of those things where I was like, probably didn't need a 4th season. And it's not because I don't love the show, but how long can you keep that premise running?
Right.
So, but yeah, Sneaky Pete would be one. A lot of people haven't seen it. I wish more people would have saw it because I want more people to talk to about it. All right, Chad.
Okay. So the first show I'm going to recommend is on Netflix. It was one of my favorite shows of 2 years ago. It would have been one of my favorite shows of last year, but I just didn't have the 2nd season. Highly recommend people get on Netflix and watch Happy.
Oh yeah.
It's over. It's done. Sadly.
That's a sad one that they could have went on for years.
Yeah, it could have gone on.
But the 2nd season didn't have me as much as the 1st season.
Oh no, the 2nd season had me. I loved every minute of it. I couldn't stop.
It just did not do it for me. I can't tell you why. I don't know if it just went too crazy for me or what. But I couldn't stop watching the 1st season, and the 2nd season I was give or take, and I just kind of finished it up because it was there.
No, don't listen to Joe. Season 2 is amazing. It's hilarious. Christopher Maloney as Sax. Is hilarious from season 1 all the way to season 2. And in season 2, he has a completely different turn. Go ahead, James.
But do not think because it involves a purple dragon unicorn thing that this is a show you should watch with your children.
Yeah, do not watch with your children. No. It is very enjoyable. You just can't stop watching it for me anyway. I couldn't stop watching it on season 1. I actually waited till season 1 was over and I barreled through it. Season 2, I had a little bit more discretion and I watched an episode a day, just because that's all I have time for. But the way it ended, it depresses me because I know I'm not going to have a season 3. But those two seasons are gold. Highly recommend people check it out. So, but if you want to know, it's Christopher Maloney. If you don't know what it is, Christopher Maloney plays a disgraced cop who is basically
he's crooked.
He's a crooked. He's terrible. He kills people for money. He has a heart attack, and all of a sudden, an imaginary friend appears named Happy, who is a horse type flying horse guy, unicorn thing, voiced by Patton Oswalt, and he helps him solve crime. And
later at one point, just to tell you how this show goes, and by the way, echoing what Chad said, I watched it as it was on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I introduced a friend to it. And I'm like, well, we'll just watch the first episode. I kid you not, before it was over, we watched the complete first season. So, no, I mean, and we just sat and watched it. We ordered food in and stuff like that. So that being said, but to tell you once again how dark this show gets, there is a scene where for the first time ever, I'm not going with an extreme scene. There's worse scenes. But there's a scene where for the first time ever, the imaginary friend tries cocaine.
No.
And I mean, that's just if you were like, what type of show is it? Please give me more details. If you ever went, what would happen if an imaginary friend did cocaine? This is the show that answers that query.
So Happy, check it out.
Oh yeah, definitely see Happy.
Joe.
Yo. I've been sent to the basement because I said second season of Happy wasn't as good as the first. Can I come back out?
I'm sorry. I disagree with you, just like you disagree with us with the majority of the time. I'm allowed to do that.
Majority of
what?
Show.
Hey, I never disagree with you.
Hold on. No. Let me set this up. Hey, everybody, if you need to take a bathroom break, let me give you a chance to do that. Now, which one of the Die Hard sequels is better?
Oh, I'm just playing with Chad. So I'm going back and forth because I have so many of them here, and I'm trying to stay.
It's called swaying.
Huh?
It's called swaying when you go back and forth.
Yeah, I am a little bit, but I found this when I was a child. I was lucky enough to have HBO. And I really think if you have a certain type of sense of humor or a certain type of, I wouldn't say dry sense of humor, but necessarily a way of looking at the world. If you've never done yourself a favor, you should go out and watch Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is on Hulu. Mr. Bean stars Rowan Atkinson. Rowan Atkinson plays Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is a British fellow who is a grown man who's basically a 13, 12-year-old in a grown man's body who doesn't really speak so much. He kind of mumbles words, and he gets into antics as he goes. You can plow through almost all of Mr. Bean in a day. Now, there's the animated series that you can do later on, and there's a couple of movies. I highly recommend, not so much the Bean movie, but I do recommend Mr. Bean's Holiday, which actually has Willem Dafoe, which is actually a proper Mr. Bean film. Whereas the Bean movie is kind of a Hollywood version of what Mr. Bean is. So,
but does have the great character actor
Peter McNichol.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I forgot Peter McNichol.
Waiting for somebody to say Peter McNichol.
Yeah, Peter McNichol's in it. So Mr. Bean was created by Rowan Atkinson and a great writer who went on to write and direct a few films. One of them, he wrote Four Weddings and a Funeral. He wrote and directed Love Actually. He wrote Yesterday, which was an Oscar-nominated film last year. Richard Curtis. Richard Curtis has went on to bitch for many years that Rowan Atkinson has taken the most of the lion's share of the credit for Mr. Bean. However, I highly recommend Mr. Bean. It's one of my things. Every year I watch the Christmas episode at Christmas almost every year. And I tend to, if it's really down, Mr. Bean is something that actually can cheer me up. I love Mr. Bean. A lot of people like him as a Black Adder. It doesn't quite sing to me like Mr. Bean does. Please check out Mr. Bean. It is on Hulu. Second season is not as good as the first. That was a joke.
James.
Oh, it's me again?
Yep.
I'm going to go with something. So if you're like us, you got a little bit of the lockdown with the kiddos, and that can cause some complications. So I actually was saying about something that I could watch with my kids, and I went back with something that I used to watch with my father, and my father would laugh at it. And now that I'm older, I realize he was laughing at parts that went over my head.
Yeehaw!
No. And there's a new version of this that is also now streaming at the same place. So I originally, when we started talking about this episode, I actually went with shows that were made for streaming. And this was good.
What's the one where that lady gets into all the sexual exploits and they wrote a bunch of books and they had a series where she was in space? Is that Emmanuel?
Emmanuel in space.
Emmanuel!
No.
That's what you're going to say.
No.
For some reason, I went, is he talking about Lex?
I never watched Lex.
It's not good.
Now, there's some people that like it. Of course, some people like to have their eyes poked with needles. I don't know anybody like that. But no, what I was talking about is the show Danger Mouse. Now, Danger Mouse, the original British version, hear me out, 1981.
If you can't hear our faces, which you shouldn't be able to, we basically gave him a face of, really?
1981 to 1992.
Now make a joke about the second season.
Ran 11 years, and then they brought it back in England, which is where the first one came from.
Never heard of it.
And it is still airing over there, the new series. And over here, it was originally briefly on, I believe, Hulu, but now CBS Prime has picked it up, and you can stream it through CBS Prime, including the original. The reason I bring it up is if you watch the show, Danger Mouse is about a mouse who is a spy, has an assistant who's a coward named Penfold. None of this is what the show really is about. They go on stupid adventures. It makes no sense. Tons of throwaway lines. But as an adult, if you occasionally listen, you'll hear some lines that make you go, oh, that's terrible. And that's why it's one of those shows, because I wanted to at least have one show that if you are locked in with your kids and you need a break and you can't watch what we've already talked about, Mr. Bean probably would be one you could watch with kids without any issue, obviously. But outside of that, there's no, there's not a lot that we've talked about. Definitely can't watch Happy with kids. So I wanted to bring up one you could watch with kids, and I would say Danger Mouse. It is streaming through CBS Prime. It does have all 11 seasons of the old British one, and I kind of prefer the old ones. The new ones are really good. And they do a parallel universe thing. They riff on a lot of pop culture. But if you've never seen Danger Mouse, I'll be honest, it'll take you about 4 episodes to get into the pacing of it. It's very British, but it's also sometimes very, very funny. And like I said, as a kid, my dad would watch it with us, which I thought was weird. But now
it's Emmanuel in space.
I get why he liked it so much. And
Chad, it's Krista Allen.
I'm not arguing with you at all. I'm just shaking my head.
Krista Allen, Chad.
I'm aware. I watched Emmanuel in Space plenty of times.
Whatever she wants. She's Krista Allen.
I've never seen it. I don't know. I mean, I didn't see that.
I'll be honest. Well, I don't know. This was back in the day when you couldn't fast forward, but I was only looking for certain scenes. The dial.
I didn't.
And those scenes usually came every about 3 minutes.
I didn't see any of the previous ones, so I didn't want to start with the space one. It's like you don't start with Jason X.
But it doesn't have Krista Allen. Actually, Jason X is the only Friday the 13th film I enjoy.
Yeah, I agree with Joe on that one.
By the way,
season 2.
I don't know. I don't know.
See? That's funny. That's funny.
I was just biding my time.
I turned into Jerry Seinfeld.
I don't know.
Again. But I heard Todd Farmer. I follow him on Twitter, and I heard that he's recovering now, but he was ill. So
yeah, he was very ill. He was.
Thank goodness, Todd Farmer. And Todd Farmer, if you happen to hear this, I'll be shocked. But we'd love to have you on the show.
Oh, Todd Farmer's been reached out to more than once.
I know, but my thing is, Joe. Like I said, I've hit the wall.
The Kentucky connection would get us. It has not.
I hit the wall. I'm literally just tagging people on Twitter and just saying, listen. As hopefully you all pay attention to Twitter, you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't even
retweet some of your shit.
But when I tweeted because here's the thing, there's certain people that I can reach out to directly. They allow direct messages, but a lot of people that work in film for some reason don't allow that. So the only way we can reach out to them is to literally tag them in a tweet and hope.
Yeah.
And we got one response where they liked our comment, where we said we loved Hal Needham and would love to have some stuntmen on the show. But they didn't say they'd do the show, so we're going to follow up. I'm going to follow up.
Yeah, you are. All right. Are you done with Danger Mouse?
Well, see, it leads to stuntmen because there's danger.
I'm leaning back for you people.
Oh, God, please let him fall over. Please let him.
The chair is
what up, Danger?
That I found down the road that someone had thrown out 4 years ago before the Rona.
Remember that one time.
But the bed bugs are just perfectly fine.
They don't carry the Rona.
No,
not proven.
No,
has anyone looked into it, Chad?
Maybe that's why we're having all the problems we're having.
Into it in season 2.
I'm sure.
It's like The Wire. They'll cover bed bugs in season 2. The first season will be cockroaches.
Oh God.
The different aspect of Baltimore.
All right. So is it my turn?
Hell, I don't know.
Go for it.
So okay, I'm gonna go on the animated route too, because I want to put one animated series that everybody can stream. And this is again on Netflix.
Motocross.
No. But a lot of
Cowboy Bebop.
A lot of shut up.
Cowboy Motocross.
I have it on Blu-ray, but no.
Was it Cowboy Motocross?
Oh my God, I was muted. You don't like Cowboy Bebop Motocross? Oh my God, I would so watch Cowboy Bebop Motocross.
No, but I wish that was coming out now. But sadly, John Cho had to go break his leg, so we're not getting Cowboy Bebop the series anytime soon.
What about Motocross?
No. I hate Motocross.
My kid wants to go to a monster truck rally now. I kind of do too. I've always wanted to.
Hey, you're not going to go to one soon. That's how you get the Rona.
Rona, Jamaica.
Or carbon monoxide, whatever one.
You don't know which one it is.
I don't know. Anyway.
We'll learn which one it is in season
2. So no, this show is actually completed. It's done. It told the whole story, and it was an amazing story. But a lot of the producers of some of my favorite Warner Brothers
stories. That's a good one. That's streaming on Amazon.
It is. It is.
No, AT&T. AT&T.
Shoot yourself. No.
Apple TV. Which one is it, Chad? Apple TV?
I don't effing know. I don't know why I just censored myself.
It is AT&T. No, it's Apple TV.
Apple TV.
They're the same thing, aren't they?
I don't
know. We drunk as hell for all like.
I'm not.
I'm.
That's because you ain't got no bourbon.
I do have bourbon.
All you've got is that. Oh, I got married bourbon, and she'll beat my ass if I drink out of that jar.
Exactly.
So you ain't got the bourbon. You just got the dreams of bourbon.
I'm just looking at it wantingly.
This is only a joke for Joe, but I will say it. That bourbon's not for drinking, boys. That's for looking at.
My friends Danny and Dave have so much looking at bourbon. It's crazy.
Yeah. No. Okay. So if I can get through this. Some of the producers of some of my favorite Warner Brothers animation involving DC Comics teamed up with some of the famous producers from DreamWorks Animation and gave us Voltron, Legendary Defender. It's an amazing animated series. Go ahead, James.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was a kid, there was Voltron.
Yeah.
And then they did that second Voltron where they weren't cats anymore or whatever.
Yeah, I remember it vaguely.
And nobody remembers that one because it wasn't any good.
Right.
But the cat one was cool. So is this the cat one, like a remake of the cat one?
It's a remake of the cat one. Yeah. And a continuation? Now, question: have you gone back and watched the one from our childhood?
Oh yeah, no. I tried to watch it with the kids because I'm like, oh, I love this when I was a kid. You all should watch it. And I was half an hour I watched the first episode and I'm like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, it's right.
It's that I enjoyed it as a kid.
See, I enjoyed it as a kid. I had the toys, but it's right up there with Thundercats. It's just pure dread, right? Dread, just crap. That's all it. But they took this.
Thunder Kitties has not improved with time.
No.
So it's another one that I didn't have an attachment to.
No. And the sad part is they've actually tried to reinvent Thundercats several times, and it's failed miserably. But
now the new version, some people love with the weird animation.
Oh, just like Teen Titans Go. Yeah, I know. I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
Even though I like Teen Titans Go, but no.
Actually, Teen Titans goes to.
Teen Titans Go to the movies is one of the best DC movies.
We all three agree.
No, I was gonna say, and I went and saw that in theaters, and I love the comment that one of the reviewers made, going, "This movie, by expense, if you compare expense to profit, is one of the most profitable movies DC ever made." And I'm like, that is true and also terrible. But no.
So it's 5. I think it's 5 seasons. Sorry, everybody, I had to clear my throat. They took this loose concept.
Clear my throat.
where in the 80s, the only good thing about this cartoon was the fact that it had 5 lions that could turn into a mighty battle robot
with the sword too.
Yeah, and
which comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, and the robot in this cartoon takes a back seat. It's all about the Paladins, the people driving the lions, and the story goes from season one all the way to the final episode of the series, one continuous story.
Are there space mice?
Yeah, but they don't play a prominent role like they do in the 80s cartoon.
That's when I was watching, I'm like, wait a second. Why is there space mice? I was watching, like I said, I was trying to introduce it to my kids going, I remember. And it never aired consistently when I was a kid, at least on any channel I got. So I never got the story as a kid. It was like, it's still just a giant lion robot man. Cool.
And they explain all of this. They go into great detail to build this backstory, especially because the people who produced it have a great story. So back when DC was, making not so great movies, the animated department was busting out animated movie after animated movie. And it was hit and miss. Let's be honest. It was hit and miss. But they also had Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which were amazing. And all these people came together to take this loose concept of an 80s cartoon and build an entire universe around it. And it fascinated me. Like I wish I would have waited until it was all done and just streamed it. But I watched it every like 6 months when the new season would come out. And it just built up to this amazing finale. So highly recommend checking this out. And it sounds crazy that I'm recommending Voltron just because.
Dude, I did Danger Mouse.
Over Danger Mouse, yes. Danger Mouse.
No. I'm saying I did Danger Mouse. Nobody's going to judge you. But how kid friendly is it?
It is very kid friendly.
Okay, that's one of the reasons I wanted to include a show that you can stream with kids. That's why I wanted to ask the question.
And it explores a lot of concepts that it introduces a gay couple. It introduces a child looking for her father. I mean, it has all these adult elements into a kid's show. And plus, like I said, the drama, the action, everything works well. Even when Voltron's on the screen, the battle scenes are amazing. So highly recommend checking out Voltron Legendary Defender. Joe, what do you got?
This is tough, but I'm trying to not say Breaking Bad because Breaking Bad is my favorite shows, and Breaking Bad may be one of the best shows of all time, except maybe for The Wire. There you go.
I was going to say, even over The Wire.
And by the way, Better Call Saul is just almost just as damn good to me. I love Better
I'm
Call
seriously
Saul.
waiting till it's done.
I never miss an episode. The night within the next 2 or 3 days as it DVRs, I watch it. I watched this week's. It was fantastic. It's getting better and better. However, I'm going to recommend something that is not one of my favorite shows, but damned if it's not an experience if you're home trying to avoid COVID-19. I'm going to tell you to get on your Netflix and watch all of Twin Peaks. And here's the reason why.
Is the final season on Netflix? It's not, right? The newest one.
Look, but it's got.
It's not.
Twin Peaks is on Netflix.
But the one that came out at Showtime is not.
Is Fire Walk with Me on Netflix too? The movie?
I think it got removed. I don't think they're.
Okay, well, it was on Netflix. Sorry. Go out and watch Twin Peaks. Now, here's the thing. Twin Peaks was a show made by David Lynch for ABC in the early 90s. I think
David Lynch and some other person.
Yes.
I'm blanking on his name.
I almost said John Cherry, but he directed the Ernest movies.
John Cherry.
But when you look it up, you're going to
the owls are voiced by Jim Varney. Who, Vern? Who?
Mark Frost.
Mark Frost. That's what it says.
Who, Vern? Who?
It is so unusual, and it's mind-boggling to me that it ever got on ABC, one of the 3 primetime networks in 1991. Chad, have you ever thought, how did that get on a network?
Oh, every time.
But it's still pure David Lynch. And those first episodes...
Ignore Joe and watch Erie, Indiana.
I disagree, although I've never watched Erie, Indiana. I'm not saying it's the best show of all time. I don't agree with that at all. No. I don't even think it's David Lynch's best work. However,
Lost Highway.
Interesting. And if you're a fan of David Lynch or you're a fan of weird and you're stuck at home and you don't know how it ends, that mystery up until you find out about Laura Palmer is pretty compelling.
Yep.
Of who killed Laura Palmer. And it starts out with a dead girl washing up on shore, and her name is Laura Palmer. And you start to unravel the mystery of what's going on in this sleepy little Oregon town, or I think it's Oregon. and there's woods. It's always raining. People act weird, but it's a small town. They act very Lynchian, if that's a word. And it was on network television, and it was huge. It was huge numbers. It was a big hit until they explained who killed Laura Palmer, and they had to do season 2. The story goes that Lynch didn't want to explain it for multiple seasons. The ABC kept trying to push him to do it, and then once they did it, then it.
Let me interject. ABC didn't want him to do it. The company that gave us Lost didn't want him to explain. Wanted him to explain it right away. Continue.
Right. Am I right?
Yep.
They wanted him to explain it, and they finally give an answer that's probably explained a little bit better if you get to watch the movie. They made a movie after the series was over called Fire Walk With Me that basically deals with the days up until Laura dies and what happened and why it happened. I strongly encourage you to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
That movie plays a lot into the series that was done for Showtime later on. The series done for Showtime is even more weird, but it's art. So the thing about art is I never think of anything that we've done, no offense to the other two of you all, as art. I feel that we're entertainers. I think that's a different thing. David Lynch is
I wouldn't even go as far as entertainers.
Well, I'm looking for my pearls so I can grasp them, as Joe said.
Attempted art, attempted entertainment. How about that? So try to entertain you somewhat. David Lynch is an artist. And what you get with art are feelings of, is this shit or does it suck or is it good? There's not really an in-between. There's not, meh. It's, I hate this or I love this. This is either beautiful or this is grotesque, but that's art. And David Lynch is an artist and Twin Peaks is art. I do feel it went off the rails that second season.
Mm-hmm.
See, we brought it back around, Chad. Second season of Twin Peaks sucks.
I have no idea what he's referencing. James?
But check it out and start from the get-go. Don't watch the movie. Don't watch the Showtime series. Watch the original series and let it play out for you. I unfortunately saw the movie long before I ever saw the series when I was a kid. I didn't get it. I now get it. I understand it. I enjoyed it. Sometimes it's a chore, but some scenes are magical in that show. And a lot of it's beautiful. And it looks better than guarantee. I don't know what was on in 90 at the same time, but I guarantee it looks better than every other show appearing at the same time. What do you all think?
No, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it
better than the Dark Shadows reboot?
Do you know, I love the Dark Shadows reboot when it came out, but I haven't watched it since I was a kid. That used to be the nail in the coffin for anything when I was a kid that I loved. Like I loved Wes Craven's Nightmare Cafe with Robert Englund. Yeah. And that only lasted maybe 12 episodes. That's it. I mean, anything I loved as a kid, it ain't going to last.
No, that's a go-to line. I'm like, I can't. And that's one of the reasons why, actually mirroring a little bit what Chad said, there's some things I won't watch when they're on the air because I'm like, I'm the Grim Reaper.
Well, now everything lasts, right? And now there's just so much content. It's just too much. But anyway, I highly recommend Twin Peaks. Please check it out. Start from the beginning. Have a donut and some damn good cup of coffee and a damn good cup of coffee. And maybe some good pie too at that diner. Speaking of pie, Maconomic is in that.
James.
You know, there's one show, and I'll be honest. When I was away from my family, I would put on, and I'd watch 2 episodes of this show a day.
Was that court ordered?
I didn't. You know, sort of. Revenuers. Anyway, the
Judge Wapner tells him to do all kinds of crazy things. You need to be on your meds, James.
Yeah, he has to have 8 fish sticks of Wapner at 4:00.
Yeah. No.
I'm okay.
And it was originally on Fox, and then it got picked up by Netflix. It's Lucifer. And I watched the first episode of Lucifer when it originally aired, and I was like, oh, okay.
Because people give me shit because it looks like crap. And there's some people I know who have given me crap for not watching it.
Here's the thing with Lucifer. Is there are parts of it, Joe, which do. I mean, it never had a budget to do. It's based loosely on Neil Gaiman, spin-off character from Sandman and all that stuff. It's based very loosely on that. That being said,
loosely means not at all.
Well,
there's a character named Lucifer in a Neil Gaiman book, and they're like, "Hey, Lucifer,
that would be a show." Well,
that's a catchy title. Let's do that. Neil Gaiman came up with it.
Yeah. Also, I think there's something called Beeblay. Anyway, it mentions the character or something.
That's Bublé.
Anyway, no, Joe, it's not that the show, and the show starts off like, I watched the first episode, I'm like, there's nothing else. The show is at its best when it's trying not to be supernatural. Because there's times like when I was watching, I'm like, this feels like it could be a supernatural episode. But as the show goes on, and it would not be, I'm blanking on the name of the actor that plays Lucifer. But I honestly think you can get about midway through the...
Gillian Anderson?
Lottie McHotterson.
By the time you get to the end of the second season, and by the time they introduce what's her name from Battlestar Galactica as his mother...
It says here Billy Crystal.
Yeah, Billy Crystal. Yeah. Anyway, when he sends
Trisha Helfer, right?
Yeah. And there's an entire, and they keep making Oedipus complex jokes between him and his mother. It's stuff like that. I'll be honest. And here's the thing. Like I said, I was watching 2 episodes a night, and there were some times where I'm like, this show doesn't need to be watched like that. You need a week to forget about what you watched before. That being said, I kept going back. And I was like, I think it's because you want to see, and there are some lines in it that actually I'm like, that's true. Because, everybody's like, people will actually say you're the devil, you make bad stuff happen. He goes, no, you choose it. I punish. You choose. And so it's things like that, because he's like, I'm not a bad guy. I do bad things. And there's
just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
No, and that's it. So, I mean, again, if you've never seen it, and I'll be honest, like I said, the first season was rough, but once you plant tongues solidly in your cheek and just realize none of this matters, none of it's serious, even when they're doing...
How many tongues are you planting in your cheeks?
Ask your mother.
It depends on, is it Saturday?
Anyway.
So when he's talking about nothing matters, is he talking about my life?
No.
I think the answer is yes.
But no, and it's Netflix picked it up, and that they were going to give it a 4th season. Somebody said now that they're talking about actually adding another season to it.
They are adding another season.
It doesn't, but they have these entire plot lines like, is he becoming too good? Is he going to be, because he's supposed to be the most beautiful of the angels and all that stuff? But don't worry about that. Just the wordplay, and when they have when they introduce Cain and all this stuff. So if you're a loose biblical scholar, this is a lot of fun, because it's like Cain can't die. He has to wander the earth forever for killing.
There are so many people watching the show go, James gets me. Cain! Yeah. I've been scholaring this biblical for so long.
Hold on. You could just say that I am like Cain because I'm unable.
And then there's Brian De Palma fans who are not getting this joke at all.
Oh.
Obscure.
Well, he's not been raised yet.
No, you can't raise him. No. Mm-mm. He don't listen worth nothing. Anyway, no.
You really should watch that De Palma documentary. It's amazing.
But literally, and I say that because if you're like me, the last thing you want to watch during this, and it's one of the reasons I don't want to watch Tiger King. The reason I don't want to watch Tiger King is I don't need to know that stupid people are out there. I'm seeing that in the world right now.
At a press conference every afternoon from Washington, D.C.
But watching Lucifer is escapism.
You said Washington, D.C., not Frankfurt, right?
Oh, no.
You're talking about our Andy boy.
Andy, you do a good job.
Because I'll be honest.
I didn't know you had it in you, Vanilla, no plan.
I'll be honest. There are people that will kill us, and my wife may be one of them.
I will never talk bad about Andy Bashir.
Yeah, I have not watched him yet. Actually, I just read the updates later. I've yet to watch him. I know people do.
No. I don't watch it either. My wife does.
Nobody watches it in our house, but I read it later.
Then you don't get the heartfelt. They may be old, but they were Kentuckians.
Next slide, Kenneth.
Lift us up where we
it's not Kenneth anyway. Kenneth evidently got laid off. It's James now.
Uh-oh. Did he screw up too many slides? I read this shit.
People made the comment that there was always a delay, and all of a sudden it became James. And somebody, and sadly, some people think it's the real one, but somebody created a Twitter account called Kenneth the Slide Guy, and people are following it. And some people legitimately think it's him saying, "I'm going to make my job back."
By the way, our one listener who's not in Kentucky is not getting any of this.
No, well, just Google Andy Bashir press conference. You'll have he does one a day. It's an hour.
They're pretty famous. They're pretty famous. All right, are we done with yours?
Yeah, it's escapism. Don't go into it thinking it's high art. It's no Danger Mouse. But if you just want to forget everything else, and quite frankly, see how many times they can make sexual references involving Satan, that's the show for you, folks. It's escapism. Enjoy it. You need some escapism. We all do. Go ahead.
Okay, that's 3 apiece.
I haven't done my third one.
Yeah, Chad hasn't.
That's 3 apiece. I'm pretty sure we all did 3. I don't understand why we're sitting here arguing. Chad, you got your season 2. We're good.
Renewed.
Honestly, for my third pick, I'm really torn because I have
just like who, James?
Natalie Imbruglia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Screw it. I'm going for I'll mention this one. I hate vampires.
Rogue. I'm madly in love with you. Will you please leave? I've watched Ghostbusters a lot.
I hate vampires. I do. Not a big fan of them. Dracula needs to go away.
Sorry, guys. We'll eventually get him to do a vampires episode.
Yeah.
Listen, John Stakes' novel Vampires is phenomenal. And I don't care how you feel about James Woods. That movie's pretty great. Too.
Again, I just don't want to point this out that this is an ongoing joke for Joe. Dracula has been on our board since we started this damn thing, and I have never argued against doing it.
But have you ever really supported it with your heart?
I have recommended it numerous times.
With your heart, Chad. With thy heart.
Yeah. You have to listen. I watched Onward. If you're going to do a spell, you have to speak from your heart cave or whatever.
That's right. I finished Onward tonight. That's right. You need to speak with your man cave.
So anyway,
open up your man cave and let out the bats from the belfry. Try not to get the Rona.
No, so the show I'm going to recommend is Vampires. It's Dracula, and I'll be honest with you, when I first started watching it, the first few episodes.
Now, which Dracula is this? Just to clarify, I know which one. I assume I know which one. But which one are you talking about? Where can they watch this?
It's on Netflix.
Thank you.
I haven't got the title yet. When I got the title, I was going to tell you where it's streaming. But no. So I want to recommend Castlevania.
Oh, it's good.
I enjoy it a lot. The first 3 episodes.
Walter Simonson.
I haven't watched the new season yet.
Oh, the new season. Yeah.
Walter
the new season, dude, best one yet. But when I first started watching this, the first 3 episodes.
Why? It's the third season, not the second.
Second season's amazing.
They got over that shark.
You know,
I'm assuming the second. Oh my God, is there a vampire shark film? Can we get Asylum Films on the thing? Because think about how many teeth it had. It could suck blood so quick.
And this is my argument about, we have proven time and time again that video game adaptions do not work. There's been some exceptions, but Castlevania Castlevania is video game adaptions done right. It is like I said, so if I could finish my point about the first 3 episodes, I couldn't get into it. No, really. The first 3 episodes, I couldn't get into it, but something kept me going. And then after that 3rd episode, I just couldn't get enough of it. And I said, I hate vampires. I'm tired of vampires. I'm tired of Dracula. But I love this. I love Belmont, who's voiced by, the guy from Hobbit.
And that's it.
Richard Armitage.
It's the Belmont show.
Yeah.
He is he's not a great character per se. He's not a great person per se.
No.
But he's just compelling to watch because you're like, oh, let's see what this douchebag does this week. I mean...
And with season 2, they ended season 2, and I'm like, how could they have ended it there? They ended season 2 on such an amazing note. I'm like, what are they going to do now? And then season 3 just got released last month, and man, does it not get even better than it did in season 2. So I just can't recommend Castlevania enough. It's 30 minutes of your time, people. It's you can watch it, and then trust me, it's not 30 minutes of your time, because as soon as you get into it, you will watch it all the way through, and then when it's over, you're like, God! And they just confirmed season 4 is coming. So,
do you think that show benefits from being animated?
I really do.
I do, because I'm not anti live action.
Are you sure you wouldn't have rather saw the Paul W.S. version that was going to happen?
Thank God. It would have been. It would.
For years.
It would have been. It would have been Belmont from the Captain N in the Game Master series. Glasses up, nerd chuckle.
Hit pause. Oh, by the way, that was my entire problem with the Captain N, the Captain N show.
It sucked.
He could pause and still move. That meant every time there was a problem. This is why Captain N, he didn't use his head. He was using the other like B button run, speed stuff up. No, you hit pause, you go over to Mother Brain, and you take a shiv and you give her a lobotomy. Show's over.
And
the Game Masters, kids, look it up. It was basically a Nintendo ad that was animated where it was, who was it? Kid Icarus.
Captain Icarus. Captain
was a teenager that was pulled into the video game world.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The princess and Simon Belmont were the good guys.
You forgot Mega Man.
Yeah. And they were the good guys, and they had to fight against Mother Brain, who was from
Metroid.
Metroid, thank you. I don't know why I made Megatroid. Metroid and King Hippo from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And who was the other one?
I forget already.
But it doesn't matter. But it was basically, it was what happened if they tried to make an Avengers out of Nintendo games.
And then didn't follow any of the characters from the actual video games. So yeah.
Oh no, they none of them. Like, why in the world would a boxer be teaming up with an evil brain from space? It doesn't matter. They're the bad guys.
Yeah. And so Castlevania, far better than that. So I highly recommend watching. Just take 2 hours of your time, watch the first 4 episodes of Castlevania, and be amazed. And then don't stop watching it. So
I thought when you said Dracula, I thought you were going to talk about the Dracula show that I think is also on Netflix, right? Is that?
Oh no, we've already talked about Dracula and how.
No, it's 2/3 good. It just has a horrible, horrible ending. I mean,
I haven't watched it, and that's the entire thing. And
I did a thing for it for Scarefest Television. Yeah, it's just got a horrible ending.
Yes, we liked it. But
yeah. It's different. The guy that plays Dracula makes the show. The lady that plays Van Helsing. Although I think most of the twists and turns you can see coming from a mile away.
Oh, 100%.
What twist?
But it's very much if you enjoyed Sherlock from what's that guy's name that wrote for Sherlock?
And Stephen Moffat.
Steve Moffat. If you enjoyed Sherlock, if you enjoyed Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who, you'll enjoy Dracula.
Yeah.
It's nonsensical twists and turns. Some of them you see coming from a mile away. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Characters are good. Just a horrible ending.
So, do we know honorable mentions?
Oh, dude, I have a long list.
I'll do my 3.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have a list as well.
Okay, so Amazon Prime. I didn't cover Amazon Prime. Joe mentioned this earlier. I am hooked on The Wire now. I didn't start watching it till about 2 months ago. I just started season 4. 1 more season, 2 seasons total to go. James.
I'm hooked on a feeling. Oh, hooked on a feeling.
So he's high.
I'm believing.
Just kill it. No, he's just high.
I would. I've never been not on anything illegal. In Bolivia.
It's his cocaine at prescription level.
So if you never had HBO and you have Amazon Prime, check out The Wire. And while you're at it, check out probably one of the best gangster shows ever made, Boardwalk Empire. All 3 seasons are on Amazon Prime to stream. It's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Didn't Boardwalk Empire run 5 seasons? Are the first 3 available?
I thought it ran. All the seasons are available.
Okay.
Did it run 5? I thought it only ran 3.
I've got it.
It didn't run long. Did somebody die at the end, Chad, for yours?
What? Yeah. I'm confused.
Spoiler.
Yes. I've watched all the seasons. I thought I might. Anyway,
I've got the box set, or I've got the individual sets.
I really thought it was 3 seasons. Maybe it's 5 seasons, but all the seasons.
The Wire, what's his face is in Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah, so watch Boardwalk Empire, and then my third one is going to be one that I want to recommend. I just haven't watched it yet. It's going to be as soon as I finish The Wire. I am going to stream Tales from the Loop.
Yeah.
On Amazon Prime. Tales from the Loop. It's an anthology science fiction show that's getting amazing. I hear amazing things about.
I haven't got to watch it yet.
Check it out. It's stories all inspired by this famous painter. He paints these weird science fiction pictures, like an old man and his grandson looking in a field, and there being a giant orbital UFO in it. but the storyline is it's 10 episodes. Each episode's a different story, but it's all these people who live above the loop, which is this device that allows people to travel across the universe and do amazing things. So highly recommend Tales from the Loop. Watch it with me, people.
No, I'm going to check out Tales from the Loop. Joe, you want to go through your list? Joe?
No, I'm sorry. I muted you because I was adding Tales from the Loop to my Amazon Prime.
Dead air, Joe. Dead air.
That was my fault. That was terribly.
Oh, and I got one more recommendation, but I want to make sure I get the title right. So go ahead, guys.
Okay, so I have a bunch. Some of them, Battlestar Galactica, we've talked about a lot on the show. One of my favorite shows of all time, one of the best endings. I highly recommend it. Chad's right, but the other one I would say, if you enjoy great science fiction and great writing, although I think most people know about, is Black Mirror. Although I unfortunately haven't watched the last season, that's my fault. There's two that I think I want to leave one off. I want to say Mad Men and Archer because I think they're the opposite of a coin.
Yeah.
Even though there's been comments about John Hamm playing the live action version.
Yeah, because H. John Benjamin looks nothing like.
No.
Have any of y'all watched the short treks with H. John Benjamin? The Star Trek with H. John Benjamin in it?
No.
I need you people to watch that episode because they literally, to me, the short treks are essential Trek viewing now because of that episode. Because if you've always wondered why is everybody in Starfleet always perfect at their jobs, that's the episode you need to watch. Because I had a lot of fun. It's I think it's 20 minutes long. H. John Benjamin plays a biologist. You need to watch that episode.
If you're
go ahead. No, go ahead.
The other two are older series. Three. Since we're knocking some out, Haunting a Hill House on Netflix, fantastic if you're into horror. Actually, I prefer. Man, it's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
It took the source material and just switched it up and made it interesting. That guy is he's a visionary. But the other one are comedy shows. One from the 70s and the other one from the 80s. Do yourself a favor. They're easy to actually. Golden Girls is not. Golden Girls and Barney Miller.
Yeah.
That's a nice manatee's hat.
Thank you.
You're going to get my wife jealous.
She already knows I bought it.
By the way, my sister would add on to your Golden Girls recommendation because anytime I say it's because my kids occasionally will stream Golden Girls, so because you can watch it. But I think Hulu added Designing Women, so my sister is always like, Designing Women.
I don't have an attachment to Designing Women, but I do. Golden Girls is one of those things that if it's on a Sunday morning, used to before I had a kid, where I could just turn on the TV and watch whatever I wanted. I could watch Golden Girls for an hour and eat breakfast, and I miss those days. But Golden Girls,
you can still watch it. That's what I love about it was the show because my kids, there's tons of. And by the way, I watched Golden Girls when I was a kid because it was network television, and now I watch it. I'm like, my parents. They knew I was oblivious. It was like, oh, Rose said something stupid, and that was what was funny to me.
It's just not up my kids' alley right now. If it's not Star Wars, Ghostbusters, or somebody singing and dancing animated.
Hold on, let me be my father. Well, your problem is you introduced him to that crap. That's my father.
Look like me, James, and then he's sitting around. I really have got to work on him quoting certain parts of Ghostbusters.
Does he mention that this man does indeed have no?
No, but something about let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Funny. By the way, I love Ghostbusters,
but probably not when he eventually gets to go to school.
I love
Ghostbusters.
Take a laugh. By the way, I love the fact that we're all sitting still and Chad found a way to hurt himself.
Feel the burn, mothers.
All right, who's up?
I'm going to jump in, James, real quick. You're
going to jump in, James? I wanted to swim in James for years.
Because we talked about science fiction.
Swim in you.
Something really good science fiction related.
Yeah.
Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix.
I still haven't got to see it. And
I need to watch it.
Another good one. Speaking of, and I need to finish the last season of Mindhunters. But if you're into serial killers, Mindhunters is a fantastic show.
Yeah, but no, Love, Death, and Robots. It doesn't take a lot of your time. They're shorts. They're 5 to 10 minutes. But not every one's a hit. There are some misses. But man, the ones that hit are hilarious or stunning or visually stunning. So highly recommend Love, Death, and Robots. James, go ahead.
I wanted to mention Altered Carbon because I enjoyed it, though I haven't started the second season, so it wasn't evidently that But I like Altered Carbon.
Season 2's great. I mean, it's entertaining. It's not great. It's entertaining.
I want to mention, and it's because, again, I just love this show. And I think it's because, quite frankly, it's as close when I'm sitting alone in my other state. It's as close as I can get to hanging out with you idiots, and that's Letterkenny. I enjoy Letterkenny.
I do love Letterkenny.
Letterkenny is the most self-referential show, and it does remind me of hanging out with friends because they refer back to conversations they had 3 seasons ago and just do it sarcastically. And if you haven't seen that episode, you're lost. But
Letterkenny's on Hulu.
Hulu, yeah. And it's Canadian, and they make tons of references about, why would you go to America? They don't even have a healthcare system. I mean, and they know what they're doing, but there's so many. My sister loves it as well, and we go back and forth with there's an entire episode. There is a character named Squirrely Dan, and Squirrely Dan pluralizes everything. So he always except there's one episode where they decide that they're going to open up a ice fishing place, and they're going to sell fresh sushi and sashimi. And the other characters all pluralize it, and Squirrely Dan finally screams out, "I don't think there's an S on the end of that." And if you don't know the character, it's not at all funny. But every episode up until there, he's like, "Oh, everything has an S on the end of it, everything." Yeah, and then the one episode where they're all like, "We should sell sushis." Guys, I don't think there's an S on that. Oh, we could also sell sashimis. We need sashimis and sushis.
And it's one of those shows. It's one of those shows where, every episode has at least 2 or 3 quotable lines.
And stupid things that you can. I'll just let you marinate on that. Stupid lines all the time. And basically, the general plot, and there really isn't one, is you have the main character and his sister and their friends. And especially during the first season, the real premise is he's the toughest guy in town, and people will show up to try to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
That's loosely the premise of the show. He's trying to maintain and he's a farm guy, and they're rednecks. And the town of Letterkenny has 3 population: hockey players, the skids, drug users, and rednecks. And the first episode, I think, actually has that as a title card and goes, and these are those people's problems. So Letterkenny. The ones I want to talk about, though, and I want to somewhat serious here. I know a lot of people maybe getting furloughed and things like that. So I wanted to do my shout-outs are all.
What do you know?
No, you're fine. You're fine. Is there a counselor we can get online for him? Anyway,
I need more counseling than anybody. Go ahead.
There is a list that is available, and so I went through this list and I did the pre-shopping for you. These are all shows that are free to stream. You may have to download an app, but the app is free.
What'd you give furlough? Thanks, James, for bringing it back up.
So if for some, I'm being honest. If you don't want to invest in one of these streaming services, I'm being honest. I understand that. I've been there before. I got fired on my birthday once. Hey, it happens. Let me bring that up one more time.
You've never mentioned that before.
Me and Joe were in Hamburg riding in a car when you called and told us, and we hung up and we laughed.
Actually, Joe earlier that day was like, "Well, it's not like they're going to fire you on your birthday." They gave me a card at the same time they fired me, though. It said "Happy Birthday." I don't think they understood what happy meant.
We went and had margaritas saying "Woohoo!"
It all worked out for the best, and most of those people aren't there anymore either. Anyway, Joe mentioned Battlestar Galactica. That is actually free to stream if you download the Sci-Fi app, which is free. The Sci-Fi, SYFY, not the normal spelling. But that's a free app, and they are streaming all of those right now. The Dick Van Dyke Show, Tubi, which we mentioned before. Kyle Hester had a film streaming even, on Tubi. But the Dick Van Dyke Show, you can watch all of those. And Pluto TV, which is also a free thing. My TV actually came preloaded with it. But Tubi and Pluto TV.
I was in a hotel room 2 years ago, and I had no idea what it was.
You can watch all the Dick Van Dyke that you want.
Pluto.
And another one that I did want to bring up, if you've never seen, and some of these have very few episodes, but they were shows that you may have missed that you probably need to check out. CW Seed, which is their app. I think it's weird it's called Seed, but whatever. Pushing Daisies. If you've never seen Pushing Daisies, it's free to watch.
Yeah, Pushing Daisies.
Wasn't that one of our former producers' favorite shows?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the fact you said one of it. We've had.
I love the fact you said one.
There's been 47 of them, Chad. Which one?
Did I say one of our former producers?
We went through more crew chiefs than Lightning McQueen.
There's another show.
I've had to watch the Whitening McQueen a lot.
There's another show that was very short-lived, but if you like Ian McShane, you should check it out. Kings, which is loosely based on the biblical.
Deadwood, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Loosely based on the story, biblical story of King David, but it's all about this king of a fictional kingdom, played very well by Ian McShane, and Christopher Egan portrays this soldier that eventually will, it's setting up the story of David. Another one.
Spoilers.
Another one. It didn't run long enough to bring it to a full closure. Obviously, it only had one season. But another one that we've brought up on the show before that I was excited to see is streaming for free. Again, ABC's app is free to download, and you can watch Reaper. Ray Wise is the devil. And by the way, given the choice between seeing more of Ray Wise as the devil or Lucifer, I actually would go with Ray Wise. So if you've never seen Reaper, Reaper was Kevin Smith was involved.
Yeah.
And basically it's about this guy or this kid effectively that ends up having to work for the devil. I mean, and he's a Reaper. If you've never seen Fringe is free.
For a brief second, I thought he said if you've never seen Friends, and I was going to jump across the screen and punch you.
Are you going through? How many do you have on your list?
Yeah,
I'm doing the ones that are free to stream, Joe, and there's only about 3 more that I'm going to mention. There's
a list of 36 more in.
No. This is a list of 120
categories.
I got it down to 10, but I wanted to talk to people because I know some people, quite frankly.
Nobody wants you to talk to them. They've already gone through enough.
Fringe is you can watch Fringe on IMDb TV, which is a free app to download.
Mm-hmm.
So you can watch Fringe. If you never saw Fringe, it's X-Files, except it stars that guy from Lord of the Rings as Walter, and you need to watch it because he's the reason you watch the show.
Except that last season.
As long as he's on it, I mean, that's the entire thing. Like, I love the way John Noble plays Walter, and the other universe Walter that's not crazy, Walternate.
I think Fringe is a good example of a show that kept building up, and then finally, we got one season. Shit, we're out of ideas.
I agree. The first season, especially, and Joe, I think, actually pointed out to me, why is there always a bald guy in the background? I'm like, it's coincident. No, it was set up. It was all set up.
I don't remember. I just kept seeing Chad.
If you've never seen, I know some people like the American version. If you've never seen the British version of Being Human, which involves, the werewolf, the ghost, and all that
Christy
having to live together.
Christy liked it. She watched most of it.
The United Kingdom, the original version, is available, again, free on Tubi or Vudu.
The United Kingdom.
One that I'm going to mention is one Joe already brought up, but I want to, Joe and Chad both have mentioned. The Wire is actually free to watch right now if you download HBO Go or HBO Now. Because of Corona, they have given, I think it's a 30-day window to watch The Wire. So even if you don't have any other service, you can watch The Wire for free right now.
Man, I wanted to watch The Sopranos. There's several of them you can. If you have a lot of people who have cable or satellite, HBO has made a lot of The Sopranos, some of the Game of Thrones, The Wire, Deadwood. A lot of those are you can stream.
But some of them, a lot of times you will have to have that cable provider. Right now, HBO, because of trying to be a semi-kind company, it has made some of those free to watch, even if you don't have that other form of connection.
Free to watch all the nudity you want.
Manuel, here I come.
But I wanted to bring that up.
Showtime.
Again, I didn't mean to be a downer.
Sure,
but
I think that was on Cinemax HBO.
Oh, it was Cinemax. You're right.
I believe, sir, when they aired.
Start telling me about my Krista Allen.
I believe when they aired things like that, the proper term was Skinemax. Sir. Anyway, but I wanted to bring those up, and again, not to be a downer, but just if you don't have 4,000 different streaming services.
By the way, after we're done recording, I'm going to tell you what the nickname for Showtime was.
You could just do it now.
Nope, not going to do it on there. Nope.
It's not like you have anything going on that you could do right now.
It's not like there could possibly be economic repercussions in this economy.
Right. I'm not going to do it.
All right. Are you done? Are we done?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up something that if you don't have 4,000, because I got for another month, I got the CBS All Access, and I got Hulu and Disney Plus and Netflix. That's what I got. So
I need to watch the Twilight Zone on CBS All Access.
I've enjoyed some of them, but that's another show that. And some people are like, "Oh, it's overly liberal leaning," and I'm like, I keep waiting for that episode. Like, I mean, there's it's commentary, social commentary, but it doesn't seem overly liberal to me. It's
So
like,
was the Twilight Zone.
Well, it's the same thing. That
Right?
quick.
Am I misremembering things?
Real quick, I intentionally.
Yeah, no, you remember right. Season 2 sucked.
I intentionally didn't. I intentionally didn't bring up the Star Trek streaming shows, but real quick before we go off, I'll mention Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Discovery. Watch them. That being said, I love the fact that so many people are being like, "Oh, this isn't the Star Trek I remember. This is all political," and I'm like, and now they're nitpicking it. There's a scene, I won't spoil anything, but where a non-Vulcan does a mind meld, and they're like, "Well, that would never work." And what's funny about it is they immediately go back to the original series where Spock mind melds with a probe with Nomad. Yeah. And they're like, "Well, what about that?" And they're like, "Well, no, they did it to be liberal in the new show." And I'm like, I watched the show. I mean, sure, I'm a socialist now, but no, I'm kidding. But yeah.
As long as you get that Trump check. And with that, thank you all so much.
Dollar bills, y'all, as I spend it nowhere because I can't leave my house.
We hope you've enjoyed this little breakup of all these. Honestly, I think we've had 3 fantastic guests back to back to back.
And God willing, we'll have 3
more really good storytellers. But Chad and James, or mainly Chad, were right. We needed to break it up and let you hear just from us and be safe. Stay in as much as you can. I don't know. You hear this shit all the time from people who are smarter than me. My Evil Dead 2 poster fell while I was in a meeting yesterday.
It's okay, though, right?
The poster?
Yeah. I don't care about your meeting.
The frame is broke, but...
Dude, listen. You'll have another meeting. You're going to have a hard time replacing that.
I couldn't give 2 shits about that meeting either. I actually stopped to go, oh, man, that's my Evil Dead 2 poster. You can see people... And I said, well, here, if you look, and I actually pulled it up and said, it's signed by Bruce Campbell. And started going through.
So I was going to tell you this, and I know we're still recording, but what the hey? Hey, listen, if you're trapped at home, go back and watch all our old episodes that you haven't seen. But what I was going to say, I was teaching the other night, and
I went up a couple of subscribers on YouTube.
What's wrong with you people?
Hush, Chad, we need them. I literally was teaching, and then all of a sudden I got one of the. So when you teach. When you teach via Zoom, you can have a chat window, and they can speak to you privately through the chat window, or they can do it publicly. I got a private message through the chat window, and it literally was, hey, Dr. Thomas, I don't want to interrupt the flow of class or anything, but that's a really cool poster over your shoulder. Is that a Disney movie? So I'm still teaching, and I'm talking about the legalities of removing students from higher education and how they can't sue for academic reasons. That's the lecture I'm giving. At the same time, I'm actually typing as I give this lecture about, and students don't have right to this. I'm like, it's actually The Great Mouse Detective. It was given to me. And so so I just want to say.
You're a good friend.
It was given to me by a blood enemy. And so, no, I just wanted to share that because I thought that was really, you mentioned a poster falling while you were in a meeting. I was teaching and had an entire sidebar conversation where somebody's like, that Disney movie? What movie? Now, that's Great Mouse Detective.
I think the newness is wore off, but everybody else is doing all those damn Zoom backgrounds. And nope, I've got shit to look at. You all can play with your beige walls. By the way, we didn't end the episode.
No, actually, real quick, one reason that, and somebody brought this up to me, I'm like, I agree with that. One reason that allowing students to have backgrounds is it can hide different social status, and it keeps everybody on equal footing.
Everybody sees I'm Poe. All right, then.
You're not Poe. You're rich in geekiness.
I'm still middle class in geekiness. We know some rich geekies.
That's true. You don't have any. You have very few rich.
Lower to middle class socioeconomic.
You don't have that William Malone robot.
No, neither does William Malone, but he's got them millions.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy Bonehead. Watch us. Stay safe. We'll see you all on the flip.